Good morning, good morning. Welcome to the Working Trader, where we look at forex pairs, Euro USD and GBP USD, and come up with daily analysis and possible trade ideas for the day. And if you're enjoying this content, please like, subscribe, share, comment. Let me know how you're finding value with this. Other than that, let's get started. And let's start looking at the news on Forex Factory. So today is Wednesday. We are expecting high impact news in the grand scheme of, or in the comparison of high impact news. This will be more of medium impact, ISM, services, PMI, and JOLTS. This will be medium impact. And then on Friday, NFP, this is high impact, where it will have the most volatility during the time of the news release. Okay. So let's look at what the charts did yesterday, what we were expecting, and what actually happened. And we get on to today's analysis. So I will start with okay, let me start with the pound dollar. So on the pound dollar, as we can see, the swing trend is bearish, right? But we've been in this retracement or corrective phase of the trend, okay? And we did mitigate the supply, which was then violated, and so our expectation is that price will continue bullish to mitigate this extreme supply at the end. So that was the bias yesterday. And when you look at once we had our 4-hour break of structure, so we had our swing break of structure, and then we've had an internal break of structure bullish. So we have 4-hour swing bullish, internal bullish. All right. So expectation there, I was saying that I don't expect price to drop all the way down there, but of course, looking at this big candle with this big gap, so we can expect it to drop and then continue going up. And then so when you look at 1 hour, we had our area of demand right here, and that demand was not respected, right? That area of demand was not respected. It had a shallow push up, and then we had a pullback, okay? And we actually violated that demand. So now we've made a double structure, breaking internal structure to the downside on the 1 hour chart. So I was thinking that price would just push up, maybe continue, and then come back down, sweep these lows, and then continue bullish. However, it had a switch altogether. So that was on the pound dollar. So let's look at the Euro USD. So on Euro USD, we were saying the swing strength or the swing structure is bullish. Okay. Internal has also shifted bullish. Now price has come into this supply, which I expect to be eliminated at some point. Okay. We mitigated this demand range, had a strong reaction, and so we're expecting that maybe from this strong reaction, this is where price starts pushing up. Okay, and we expect this failure swings to fail. However, yesterday, as you can see, we had a strong bearish day, right, after taking the previous day high, and then we had a strong reaction, bearish. However, we've not taken Monday's low. Okay, we did not take Monday's low. So looking at the 4 hour, after mitigation, we then had a push up, and then because we had a change of character, right, with a candle close, we have a new demand area that has been created. Okay, and price has then come back into that area, and right now price is hanging in that area. On the 1 hour, after we had this push up, we then created this demand when price broke structure, all right, and then came in to mitigate this 1 hour supply, to which I was saying would expect deeper penetration and then possible failure. Why? Because when you look upwards, there's nothing really to stop price. Okay, however, the supply has held, and as you can see, it broke structure, and now we are continuing bearish at the moment. So looking at today, all right, so analysis has not changed for the most part. Okay, so our daily swing is still bullish. Our internal, right, overall is still bullish. So daily swing and internal, they are bullish. However, price is still correctively pulling back. Okay, and then now we have had this structure break. All right, so if this is our internal structure, right, that is our internal structure range. So what this means is this is no longer a sweep, because we've now closed below. This is now a fractal structure break, right, internal of the internal, which I'll call sub. We have a sub internal break of structure right there. So overall, we understand that we are bullish. So this fractal break of structure is simply to facilitate the internal pullback. Okay, simply to facilitate the internal pullback. So what that means is, if we look at that, all right, so when we reacted, we had not yet reached 50% or the equilibrium or into discount. Okay, so we could expect that maybe price could do one more jab. Okay, sweep this low. Okay, tap into this extreme POI. Okay, which is what we were waiting for initially. All right, and not simply the sell to buy range. Okay, tap into that, and then have a reversal, then possibly start going up, targeting the week daily high up here. Okay, so that is a possibility. Then when we look at the 4-hour, so whilst our swing trend, alright, is bullish, is our last swing break of structure, it's bullish, and our internal was bullish. However, it switched bearish just there. Okay, this is where we switched bearish. So we need to focus on current price action. So what we see is internally we are bearish. Of course, we've mitigated demand, so I'm expecting a reaction. Okay, a bullish reaction, right? But as it stands, we can possibly maybe continue bearish a bit more, take out this low, and then mitigate, or push in deeper into this POI a bit more before reacting. Okay, but we'll have to wait and see. On the 1 hour, so that's no longer relevant. So 1 hour swing is bearish. 1 hour swing is bearish. That was our last bearish break of structure, and then that's where we went, and then we've had a push back, and then we've had a push down like that. So now we've mitigated this 1 hour demand that is nested in the 4 hour. Okay, now this is price. This is us, or rather, this is price reacting at let's see. This is price reacting at. So here I drew the zone at the candle before the large imbalance. Okay, before the large imbalance, which is this one. Okay, candle before the large imbalance, and we can see it's a bit of a reaction. Okay, a bit of a reaction, and now we have created relatively equal lows right there. So we could expect price to push in a bit deeper and maybe mitigate the extreme, okay, which is this extreme of the range, okay, before actually trying to push up, okay, before price actually starts to push up. So whilst we're maintaining a bullish bias, right now we should be waiting either maybe for let's see, price to come lower, right, sweep these lows and then come up, right, and then we have a change of character or a break of structure. Else, if it doesn't produce the break of structure right there, then we can expect to continue lower to at least mitigate this, and then maybe then we have a break of structure. Okay, so we are in a good area where we can expect price to react and go bullish. All right. So looking at the British pound, swing, daily is bearish, internal is bullish, and we are reacting from this bullish POI, daily POI. So expectation is that price will continue until we mitigate that daily supply. And then on the 4-hour, we had a swing break of structure, and now we've had an internal break of structure, and the expectation is price could pull back to mitigate this 4-hour POI before we start looking to target this weak internal high. Okay, so right now 4-hour is in the pullback phase. Okay, 4-hour is in a pullback phase. So that means that means my new range is this one. So extreme has been mitigated, so we're only waiting for this to be mitigated. Okay, and then look at the 1-hour. That has failed, so we do have supply. So we do have supply at the top, and then we have demand, right, which is the last candle. Right, in this case again, last bullish, rather the candle before the large imbalance. Okay, candle before the large imbalance. So this is where I'm setting my alert, and when price mitigates, that's when I'll be looking for possible lower time frame entries to go long. Okay, to go long at least towards. So let's see, even if you do you still get a 2-hour. Yep, 2-hour before we mitigate that supply. So this is a good area to look for longs. Okay, that's a good area to look for longs on the 1-hour. So that's for the pound, and then for the daily. Alright, so the pound is a lot more clearer, okay, than the daily of what we expect. Price is already in the daily 1-hour area. So yes, we've mitigated our 4-hour area. So as it stands, the 4-hour is more bearish currently, okay, because the internal is bearish. So until, well, of course, we've had an internal break of structure, so that could have been only to facilitate the internal pullback, okay, which is what happened. All right, and then once we break structure here, then it will be all systems bullish. Okay, then it will be all systems bullish. But yeah, this is the analysis for the day. It's a lot more clearer on the pound. It's a lot more clearer on the pound because the pound is bullish all the way through. On the Euro USD, it's somewhat bearish currently on the 1-hour and on the 4-hour. On the pound, we are bullish. Okay, so on the pound, we could wait for mitigation of that POI and then look to go long. On the euro, we probably need to wait until we've had break of structure bullish, and then we start looking for longs at that point. Okay, all right, so other than that, have a great day, and I'll see you tomorrow. Working Trader out.